one is a formality, and that it is hardly ever, if at all, used by any town to effectuate substantial business. The other, and that the necessary town officers who might be elected under that article would be a temporary town moderator in case the town moderator were incapacitated, and other similar positions. The other opinion is that town meeting has the latitude to remand any matter that is properly brought before it to a committee. The chair is primarily interested in the question of whether proper notice has been given to the townspeople that a committee of this sort or that action of this impact might be pending. And that involves both the impact of the motion that has been presented to you and the substance of it. Now, a careful reading of the article says to choose all necessary town officers not elected by ballot. We can debate for a long time what necessary and officer mean precisely in this context. The chair sees here that the motion is trying to establish a committee to study and investigate, but it does not really give this committee any extensive powers except for the committee to fill vacancies that occur within the committee and to appoint non-voting associate members. And the charge of the committee is to make a report to town meeting. So we're not establishing a body, we're not being asked to establish a body with extensive powers. This is a body with advisory powers only. So therefore the chair will accept the motion that is presented as basically an amendment to the main motion that was made by the town administrator. So therefore, if you are voting to amend the main motion under this article, then you're basically adding this proviso to the motion already existing, so that the selectmen still would have the authority to appoint any other committees and other bodies, other officers, as implicit in their motion. On the motion, does the Finance Committee have a recommendation? Mr. Dodge? A minute, okay. The chair will give somebody else. Mr. Harmeling, do you wish to speak on behalf of your motion while the Finance Committee is deliberating?
I just wish to ask you, as a point of clarification, I guess, that you're allowing this motion to go through, and I didn't understand the part about the selectmen or other town bodies.
The explanation of this is, does this motion take the place of the preceding motion, or does it just add something else to it? And the answer that I've given is that it adds something else to it.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Gentleman in the center, please state your name and address, sir.
Jim Donahoe, 3 Road. Could you read the motion, the amended motion, please? There are a lot of names attached to the motion.
Okay, the chair will read the motion again. Do we have a recommendation yet from the Finance Committee? Mrs. Belmonte.
Finance Committee does not recommend. Although we are in favor of a committee such as being named, we do not feel that sufficient time has been given to the town meeting members, and a slate was presented where other town meeting members may want to be on that slate.
Okay, the motion, Mrs. Cerrone for the selectmen.
At this time, the Board of Selectmen do not recommend, only for the fact that it was not in the warrant and the people in the audience have not given adequate time to ponder it, talk about it, discuss it.
Okay, the chair will read the motion. It's a fairly long one. Move that this town meeting establish a committee of 7 citizens and select the members of the committee to study and investigate the feasibility of acquisition and or utilization of lands within the town for use as open space, aquifer, floodplain and wetland protection, passive recreation, recreation sites, parklands and other similar uses consistent with the enhancement of the quality of life in North Reading. That the committee shall be called the Land Utilization Committee. That the committee further study the feasibility of the use of surplus monies from the operation of the Hillview facility as the source of funding for such uses and improvements or potential acquisitions for purposes mentioned above. That any vacancy occurring on the committee shall be filled by the remaining members of the committee. That the committee shall be authorized to appoint such non-voting associate members as it deems expedient and necessary. That all boards and committees and departments of the town are instructed to cooperate with and assist the committee in every reasonable manner, and that the committee shall make a report including any proposed warrant articles to implement its recommendations to be presented on or before the 1993 annual town meeting. And I also move that the meeting elect the following citizens to the Land Utilization Committee established pursuant to Article 1 of the annual town meeting of April 1992. And the names of the candidates are Philip Nick O'Brien, Dennis Maraska, Mark Harmling, Jim Brophy, Ruth Lydon, Mike O'Neill, and Ron Ramsey. You've heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? Mrs. Cirone.
I just had a quick question to the maker of the motion. Could you share with us what the criteria are for the members of that committee and why you are recommending those citizens? What special forte do they bring to that role?
Sure.
Mr. Harmling.
The people on the committee are, I'll try to do a short resume of what they are, but there's a real estate developer, there are 2 engineers, there are 2 former town officials, there's a CPA, and there's an executive in the high-tech business. These are very capable people who would know how to make a study of this type. I'd also like to point out that we are not asking, and I think, Mr. Moderator, you pointed this out, we're not asking for a whole lot here, really, and I'm a little bit surprised at the procedures here. We're asking the town not to spend any money. We're asking the town not to take any grand action, except appoint a committee. If the town meeting so desires, appoint a committee to make a study and come back with some recommendations. So it's a fairly limited thing we're asking to do, and I don't think it's a major undertaking. It's certainly one within the capabilities of the people on the committee.
Ms. Mullen. Could you please take your name and address, Ms. Mullen?
But recreation recently was the most vote that we would, study requiring committee of time, and certainly with the open meeting, and certainly with the ad hoc committee appointment. But the scope of this is more than just recreational land. But I certainly think everything like this should certainly be open to the public so that any of the one who applies for this position would be a member. I have a hard time with just seven members being appointed, as good as they all may be, but I think everything should be on.
Mr. Sylvia, please state your name and address, sir.
Al Sylvia, 720 Francis Street. Mr. Moderator, I'm very afraid of this article. If this article passes, this will establish a precedence where any group can come into the town meeting and say that we would like to establish a committee to study any particular reason, or in this case, I guess, they don't quite know what to do with excess money from the Hillview. Give it to the town could be one good way of getting rid of it. Aside from that, they're obviously circumventing the power of the selectmen to select committees and appoint them, albeit you don't have to always agree with whom the selectmen have blessed by appointing to a committee. But I've never seen anything like this in more years than I care to remember going to town meeting, and I'm certain that this would establish a precedent throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I can only hope that you vote this down.
Mr. Kearney.
Mr. Moderator, could we have town council render an opinion on this committee, please?
You wish to have town council address the meeting?
Yes.
Please do.
You ruled on this as a parliamentary matter, did you not?
As a parliamentary matter, right. But town council may still speak if Mr. Kearney wishes for him
Mr.
to
Dillos, are
speak.
you afraid to have council render an opinion for the people in the audience? Why do you object?
Please, ladies and gentlemen, nobody speaks at town meeting without being recognized by the moderator. Town moderator recognizes town council.
Mr. Moderator, Everett Motter, Copeland and Page, Town Council, through you to the distinguished body. I was asked before the meeting about this particular article, and I opined before the meeting to the moderator, and you've heard the moderator when he introduced his opinion, his decision to town meeting, that he had two opinions. One, the first one he described was mine, town council's, and the second one was another opinion. I don't know where it came from, and he made the choice. Obviously, I would never contest the moderator's choice on a matter of this sort, but I've been asked only to express what I believe is proper in this matter. As you know, our firm represents 61 towns in the Commonwealth, and we spend an awful lot of time at town meetings. This is the first time in my experience that I've ever seen a study committee appointed under Article 1. Every warrant in the Commonwealth has an Article 1 and an Article 2. Article 1 historically and as a matter of practice, and I understand as a matter of practice in this town as well, is never anything more than a approval of the town meeting to the executive body and the appointing authorities, i.e. the Board of Selectmen and whoever else has that authority under the Charter and the bylaws, to appoint officials who are not elected by ballot. That's all Article 1 is for, and that's all that Article 1 does. To appoint a study committee for any purpose under Article 1, in my opinion, would be a violation of the spirit and the letter of Article 1, which states to appoint necessary town officers. A study committee are not town officers, and they're temporary, and the article is for those officers that are provided for under the Charter and the bylaws. That was my answer to the question initially. My second answer was, and this was also stated by the moderator, that it was not within the four corners of the article itself. There's nothing in the article that even implies that it allows for the appointment of a study committee, and therefore it would not be within the provisions of the article, and it would not be proper notice. One last comment is that Article 16 provides for a study committee very similar, almost exactly the same as the study committee that has been proposed by this motion, except, and the only difference is that that study committee is appointed by the Board of Selectmen. That is, and the town meeting has been put on notice, that is under Article 16. This might be considered a way to get around the notice of Article 16, which provided for a Board of Selectmen appointment, by putting it under Article 1 and having it appointed by the movers. Thank you.
Mr. Dodge?
I move to amend the motion to have the committee and any replacements appointed by the town moderator.
So this is an amendment to an amendment. Under Robert's rules, we're allowing two tiers of amendments, and I don't think that the town bylaws have anything to say on the subject of amendments.